Welcome to the Headless Professor video that is intended to demonstrate how to use the data set associated with Abstract number 12 within the JASP program. Here we see a recent version of JASP, and we're going to open our data set, which is located on one of my flash drives. And it will look like this once I get it open. Notice that the individual variables, apart from sex of the subjects, are all measured on an ordinal scale. That would tip us off right away that a non-parametric test, such as the Wilcoxon, may be more appropriate than a t-test in order to establish statistical significance. We're going to focus on these last two columns, the estimates of the percent of men who undergo a midlife crisis. Now this is a matched pairs, repeated measures design. And so we're going to compare the estimates of the percent of men today who have a midlife crisis versus the percent of men in the past who went through a midlife crisis. Now in this particular scoring, 1 represents less than 10% of men, 3 represents 30%, 5 represents 50%, 7 represents 70%, and 9 represents over 90%. So let's start by getting the descriptives for these two variables. We're going to move these two variables over, and for our statistics, let's select the median for each of our variables, and we have those over here. So it is estimated by our subjects that 70% of men today undergo a midlife crisis versus 50% of men in the past undergoing a midlife crisis. So there is a difference between these two median estimates. Now, is that a significant difference? Well, let's go over to the t-tests and select paired samples t-test. Now, that would be a parametric measure. Let's go ahead and select our two variables again. And if we just looked at the means of the two groups with a t-test, we would see we would have an excellent level of significance, and the mean difference would be 60% versus 48% for men in the past. But could we really say that we're justified in using this parametric t-test given we have ordinal data? Well, would these data actually be normally distributed? Let's find out. Let's do a Shapiro-Wilk test for normality. This says that our data set differs significantly from what we would expect a normally distributed set of data to look like. That means we're really on shaky ground using means and using parametric statistics like the t-test. So what should we really use instead? We should use the non-parametric Wilcoxon test. But in this case, at least, the Wilcoxon test agrees with the t-test. We have an excellent level of significance. The difference between the two medians, the 70% versus the 50% median, is truly a significant difference, and we can reject the null hypothesis.